All right, welcome back. So we have our rested dough here. Um, One thing I want to show you guys, because this is kind of cool. So it's a little tackier because it's absorbed some of the dry flour, but it's got a spring back to it, so you can even see where like it's put an indentation where my finger is, and it's slowly kind of rising back out. That is fantastico. That's perfect. Okay, now we're gonna violate a rule I gave you earlier, right? So it's like the English language. For every rule, there's a violation for it, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually now put flour on our board. So we have a completed dough here. So now to prevent that dough from sticking to every surface it touches, we're now going to put flour down. Here's another pro tip. When you're dusting your board, put it into a shaker. This makes it a lot easier to get out enough flour without putting out too much flour. So we're just going to flour our board. And now we're not in danger of this becoming part of the recipe because the dough has come together and it has rested. So now I'm going to take our dough and just dust it in the flour. That way it doesn't stick to my hands or to anything I'm putting it on. Then you want to, right, spank it. That way you got it nice and dusted. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to stretch it out, kind of make it nice and stretched out because we're going to start rolling it through our pasta machine. Okay, now over here I have my pasta roller. So this is a table mounted one. KitchenAid mixer makes an attachment that goes on the front of your KitchenAid. You can also use that. So depending on the brand, they go in different directions. So this dial, when you turn this dial, this one has it where the highest number is the widest setting of the rollers. As I go down in numbers, the rollers get closer. Some brands are the reverse. Some brands, the lower the number, the wider the setting. As you go up in number, the rollers get closer. You want to start it with the rollers set at the widest setting. So if I pull this out and turn it, you can see the rollers getting closer together. So I want to start it at its widest point because we have a wide piece of dough. If we put it too thin, if you say, man, I'm in a hurry, I'm going to just crank this thing down to the thinnest width, you're just going to tear the dough when you try to roll it through it, right? So we have our dough sufficiently dusted and stretched. We have our roller on the widest setting. So now we're just going to roll. Boom. Right? So now it has rolled it thinner. So now what we're going to do, we're going to fold it in half. You don't need to flour the inside of this because you want the dough to stick together. We're going to press it, dust it again on the outside, spank it, right? We're going to put the narrow end in first, right? Bada boom, bada bing. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to do one more fold. We're going to do a tri-fold. We're going to take the narrow end in, fold it in, fold the other end over. We're going to press it, dust it. Now what this is going to give us is our pasta sheet shape. Okay. Boom. Notice we haven't changed the width of the rollers. We have it still on the widest setting, right? So now what we have is our sheet starting, okay? From here on out, we're not going to fold it anymore. So we did 3 times on the widest setting. We stretched it, rolled it through, folded it in half, rolled it through, tri-fold, rolled it in half. No more folding. Now we're going to do what we call work our numbers. So I'm going to go in the next setting, which brings the rollers a little closer. We don't have to have an exorbitant amount of flour on here. So see how it's dusted? If we have too much flour gathering in here, then when it's rolling, it won't have traction and it'll be sliding back and forth in our roller. Boom. Now we're just going to do once on each number. So remember, 3 times on the widest setting. After you're done with your 3 folds, no more folding. And then we're just going to do 1 time each now on each setting. Beautiful. Look at that. Right? Our dough is starting to come along. Now, here's what I want you to also practice. Notice how I'm holding the dough. This is very important. I'm not holding it with my fingertips because as it gets thinner, it'll start to make finger impressions and they'll punch through. So you want to hold it like your karate hand, right across the edge of it. When it gets too long, use a second hand. That's how we want to hold it. So when I'm laying it down, dusting it while I'm laying it down, come over here, turn our rollers in a little closer, dust off the excess flour. And this is a pretty forgiving dough, right? Pasta dough is pretty forgiving. Beautiful. La da 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 da. Remember, something real important, you guys. Always sing to your food. Let it know you care about it, right? Right? See how we're just pounding up there? I like how that looks. Boom. Now, this is where you also want to figure out what type of pasta you're going to be making. If you're making a string pasta, meaning long, thin noodles like fettuccine, pappardelle, spaghetti, capellini, you can roll it thin, you can roll it like intermediately thin. If you're making a stuffed pasta like ravioli, agnolotti, whatever it is you're making, remember you're going to be doubling it over. So you want to make sure you roll it really thin because you're going to be doubling the dough over. All right. So let's do one more. We'll do one more pass on this one here. Let's see what we got here. Beautiful. Look how long it is. And this is about a quarter of a size of dough that I normally make. So you can see how much dough this will actually make. How much pasta this will make. Oops. So we dropped our handle, which is fine. I'm glad that this happened because don't think you broke your roller if this handle comes out. These handles are meant to come out so that you can take it out and put it into your cutter, which we're going to do in a minute. Beautiful. La da 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 da. Remember, sing to your food. Beautiful. You guys, look at that. That is loveliness. Lovely. Loveliness. Good job, everybody. Okay, now we're going to cut our dough. So remember I said this is our workbench. So this is your bench scraper. These things are multi-use tools. They're fantastic. They usually have graduations along here so you can measure things. You can cut on a surface so that you're not using a knife, which is what we're about to do. So what we're going to do first is we're going to trim the dough. We're going to take the edges and trim it so that we have nice squared off ends. Beautiful. That way you don't damage your table, your surface. Okay, now let's cut it in a length that will be the length of our pasta noodles. So we'll cut this probably into thirds. Let's do thirds. Cut it here. And we'll cut it here. Beautiful. So that's going to be the length of our noodles. Right? Beautiful. Again, make sure you have them dusted so they're not sticking together. Now we're going to make a couple of different pastas with this, okay? So this is the pasta cutter. So the way this is designed, it has 2 grooves here, and then it has the opposite facing grooves on the pasta cutter. It just slides into place. Our trusty handle. This is the reason why the handle comes out. Now there's 2 different pastas on this cutter right here. Let me bring it closer so you can see. So right here we have tagliatelle. Over here we have fettuccine. You can see the width, the difference in the width. we're going to do fettuccine. So we're down here in balmy Florida. It's very humid. Gets hot in the kitchen very easily. The thinner the string pasta, the easier it is to clump together. So since we don't want to have to fool with that, we're going to use our fettuccine cutter. Also, it has 2 different holes for the handle to go into. So we're using fettuccine. We're going to put the handle in that hole. Beautiful. Bum, 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 bum. So we're going to do a fettuccine. We just slide it in. Now, what you're going to do, let that drape, right? If you're working by yourself, take your hand, you're going to go underneath the curtain of pasta. There you go. There's your fettuccine noodles. Boom. So when you're putting them on your tray, because you want to have them laid out on your tray, don't pile them up too high because the weight of them may cause them to stick together. So instead, what you're going to do, you're going to grab a little flour and you're just going to, what we call zhuzh, right? Scientific word, huh? So you're just going to zhuzh them a little, meaning you're just going to kind of toss them around and just kind of leave them haphazardly on your tray. I'm going to use these, I'm going to put these right on our work surface here, just like that. So, boom, and there we go. Now, I'm going to make a different pasta with this one. Let's do pappardelle. So pappardelle, you're going to hand cut them. So what we're going to do is make sure they're dusted because you're going to press it a little and you don't want it to stick together. We're just going to fold it over. Don't press it real hard. Fold it over again. And we're going to take our cutter. You can use a knife, but we're on our table, so we don't want to ruin the table or ruin the knife. Pappardelle are just wide hand-cut noodles, right? So then you're going to take them, open them up. Nice. So it'd be like a fat fettuccine. Beautiful. These will hold a very hearty sauce really well. Like if you're making bolognese, these do very well holding bolognese. So that's those. Then we can also, let's do the, we're going to do it, you guys. Let's do the tagliatelle. We're going to do it. So we're going to make sure we got plenty of flour on there, right? We do not want these to stick together. Notice I don't have 800 pounds of flour on the board either, right? Sometimes people go crazy with that. Now, we're going to roll this through. Notice I'm making sure it's straight before I roll it through because it will grab it and crimp it. Lay that down, right? It's not going anywhere. Then we're going to go over here. Et voila. Beautiful, yes? Look at that. Look at that. You guys are fantastic. Good job. So we have our fettuccine, our pappardelle, and our tagliatelle. So with these, you want to not let them sit too long. You're going to have your water boiling, and it's going to be 2 minutes. This is where it's different from dried pasta. 2 minutes, and your pasta, your fresh pasta is cooked. So you're going to boil your water, salt it, throw your noodles in, swirl them around once. 2 minutes, they're done. Take them out, either shock them in ice water if you're going to use them later, or throw them right in your sauce. Well, you guys, it's been awesome. Until next time, enjoy cooking.